Hey yo, what's up my brothers? This is Enemy Stand User here. I hope y'all are doing well. And before getting into the chapter, first of all, thank y'all so much for 500 subscribers. You guys are amazing and make YouTube so much fun for me, you don't even know. And you might have noticed there's a little bit of a redesign with the channel aesthetic. Of course, my character, the Enemy Stand User, my designs are done by me myself. And my new art style is a little bit Western, like some Nicktoons X, Total Drama, Cartoon Network X sort of design. But I really like the look of it and the kind of the feel of the whole thing. And I will definitely add more expressions as time goes on. But tell me how y'all feel about it. But moving on, in this week's chapter, this was an insane chapter. Hakari is so much hype. He's super hype, and we actually get to see his gambling technique in action, and it's still so confusing. Gege loves to overload Jujutsu Kaisen powers with info, and Hakari is no exception. Though his power is actually surprisingly simple when you do break it down a little bit and reread and things like that. So I do encourage y'all to kind of reread the chapter a couple times to kind of get the gist of it. But I'll try to really summarize it and dumb it down and simplify it as much as I personally can to go along with the chapter review. But Hakari is super skilled as a sorcerer, and his style and his domain fight with Charles is ultra clean. Like, Gege cannot miss, and Hakari's fever is too hype. So let's dive right into this chapter with chapter 183, Tokyo Colony number 2, part 3. Alright, so the chapter opens up with Charles Bernard being flooded with information about Hakari's domain expansion technique, Restless Gambler, or Idle Death Gamble, as it's referring to in the official Viz scans. Now, initially in this first panel, we're introduced to our main cast of made-up characters manifested from Hakari's technique. 7 different characters from a manga called Pure Love Train. However, Hakari used this manga and the characters in it to kind of inspire his domain and create this sort of gambling game. And these guys represent different slots and icons, kind of like cards or pachinko chips, used as a sort of gambling in gambling machines. And you know, like match them up slots, match them up, get a prize sort of thing. And I'll come back to this and kind of say what I feel they might represent, and I will bounce around in this chapter, so it's easier to express myself and share my thoughts and explain things to y'all. So please bear with me here as we kind of get into Hakari's technique, as it is pretty wild.
Hey yo, what the?
You didn't have to cut me off. Think I like it never happened, that we were nothing.
Now, yeah. Initially in my mind, seeing this, I was like, oh no, oh god, no. My one and only weakness, words. It's like Gege threw simplicity and common sense completely out the window and went into the zone as a mangaka, kind of like he didn't want anyone else to understand it but him. This is like on some Hunter x Hunter level setup right here, and I was not prepared to wake up and process this today, but let's try our best, shall we? Because it's really not that bad when you do kind of slow it down and get the sum of it. First up is the basics, the basis of the domain. This whole domain is based off of the made-up manga Pure Love Train, which is a sort of romantic comedy which Hakari turned into a gambling match. So they would gamble on things like, will the main character reach the train on time? Things like that, situations like that. So Hakari's technique manifests the different character cards from earlier, kind of using them like a slot machine. And apparently it says it's simple, but it's not really. But when the 3 characters match, kind of like a slot machine, Hakari gets a jackpot, which gives him an unknown power or reward. Before matching the icons or cards though, Hakari can manifest an ability called Performance Preview, which is like when he summons those subway doors that we've seen previously, and has a pachinko ball which he can throw. And this attack is kind of like, well, a preview to the next stage, and acts as a sort of indicator for the hype level that's about to begin. Different colors represent different hype levels and different chances to win big. This prompts the next attack to perform when the performance preview is over, Reach Mode. In this stage, the domain changes and the scenery changes completely. Reach Mode is when we see the events of the manga Pure Love Train play out, and different situations give different outcomes and different chances. So there's like low hype events in the manga and high hype events. I'm assuming the hype is kind of like the fever and it's kind of building up, so that the fever that Hakari goes crazy over, but all these events build up so Hakari can get his chances to win his jackpot in the domain and win the battle. Remember, the cards spin like hypothetical slots. So behind the scenes, 2 character cards match up kind of like a slot machine, and the third slot is still rolling, letting Hakari build up his fever and build up his hype so he has a better chance of getting this quote-unquote jackpot. But if the slots mismatch and it doesn't go out like it's planned, the mode resets and the whole domain loops full circle, repeating the whole process again. Alright, so basically that's kind of the gist of it. That's what I got out of it for the basics at the moment. There's stuff I didn't mention, like the specific character cards and the actions that they have and the probability rating, that chart that they had up. It's a lot to process. I'm sorry, but I'm like 99% sure Gege put this whole explanation up here to kind of F with us and confuse us. So this, I'm pretty sure that this whole thing is like a half joke and a half of, yes, this is actually how his ability works. So this is all very confusing. It's very kind of unforgiving to us readers and very Gege-like to kind of info dump us with the technique like this. And it's driving me crazy, but I'm all here for it. Moving on to the actual chapter now, Charles has a very appropriate response to this chaos that is an explanation, saying, "Don't transmit utter crap like that into my mind." So now the domain battle is in progress, and Hakari kicks off his preview performance ability, spawning a green ball and a red door attack on Charles. Then after the preview comes, the Reach Mode begins, where we get a situation where the number 4 Kato Sora card spawns in, and we are then transmitted into a subway station where the main character, Yuki, is late for work and trying to catch the train. Charles picks up on all this very quickly and notices that this is a low hype event. However, if the main character manages to pass the ticket gate and get to work on time, that is a jackpot for Hakari. Charles then tries to stop the event, but the situation cannot be interfered or interrupted with, and he is not able to attack or use his clairvoyance ability to affect the Reach event in any sort of way. But due to Hakari's preview, remember that preview ability being low hype and weak, it was a green ball and a red door, it's not very strong. The event outcome failed and Yuki could not get past the ticket gate. This caused Hakari's slot cards to mismatch and he lost the jackpot, making the whole domain reset to normal. Charles takes notice of this situation and understands that the events will loop endlessly unless Charles defeats Hakari or Hakari gets his jackpot and defeats Charles. But Charles knows that the jackpot is Hakari's key. It's game over at that point, at least in Charles's mind. And he gets annoyed and pissed off that Hakari took something like this manga, which has to do with like a romantic comedy, and used it as an outlet for gambling in a really weird way. So Charles decided not to just wait on Hakari's 1 in 239 chance of winning a sort of jackpot and took his opportunity to attack. Even Charles's technique was starting to act up, with Hakari questioning his accuracy with that clairvoyance ability. Hakari then pulls a high roller, high hype performance preview with a golden shutter door. And now the Reach event is about to activate. Before that though, Hakari completely flexes his luck as he revealed that no matter the machine, no matter how low or how high his chances are, he always stays within 30 tries to reach his jackpot. The Reach event starts with 2 number 3 Asagiri Yume cards, and because his performance preview was so high, the event is now the Precious Last Day Train Reach. This particular event gives Hakari a hype rating of 80%, so his chances of a jackpot are basically in the bag. Both of the fighters battle as the event takes place, with everything riding on whether the side character Yume makes it home on the train or not. If Yume can't get on the last train home and reappears on the other platform with the main character Yuki, then it's a guaranteed jackpot fever reach for Hakari. Charles now struggles to hold off Hakari and is completely counting on the event to fail, begging Yume to go home and depart the station. We then get a peak moment of relief as the tables have turned and the event seemed to have failed, with Yume going home. Charles then gets a burst of energy and seems to have won, being able to bounce back and hit Hakari, saying if the battle was based on skill and not luck, things would have been different. But in the last second, Yume appears on the platform meeting Yuki, forcing a guaranteed jackpot to occur for Hakari, and Hakari has his fever riled up. Let's go. He absolutely decks Charles and ends the chapter saying, "That's wrong. You need the skill to capitalize on your luck." Wow, Hakari is way too cool. This man makes this complicated technique flow like butter, bro. He is insanely talented as a sorcerer, and the fact that he can just manifest complicated and immersive situations like in his domain makes it super high level. And I don't think I just speak for myself when I say that I needed to reread this chapter multiple times to truly understand it. In the end, when he got his jackpot as well, we just have to see like what sort of reward he gets, as it could literally be anything. It could be like a Shikigami, a cursed tool, an unknown ability, kind of like how Haguruma's execution sword was. It could even be something like that. But knowing Hakari, this dude could probably just summon a whole like freaking metro station or metro subway train to drop on Charles. I don't know, something wacky like that. But I don't know what's with Hakari and trains specifically, but Hakari is for real about to pack up this dude Charles and body him. This whole technique, it really seems complicated, but if I was to like really dumb it down to like super simplify it, Hakari's whole goal is to use his ability to quote-unquote roll the dice and up his chances and up his probability to land a jackpot for these reach events. And everything Hakari does is always to up his chances and always to get the right conditions for the jackpot to take place. The domain is designed to keep looping events and scenarios so Hakari has more chances to up his fever and win big. The reach events as well are really cool. It's a really cool factor, and it keeps the hype and fever going in a way. It's really weird that he based the gambling off of like a romance comedy sort of manga, but yeah, it's actually really cool how Gege kind of implemented that into his technique and how they could implement that sort of love story in a tense gambling match. But Hakari is just built different. Also, this is really small, but I noticed that the characters in this Pure Love Train series amounted to like 7 specifically, so I wondered if there was any at all relation to like the 7 lucky gods of Buddhism. It's probably just like a shower thought, but I thought that would be a really cool relation. But the whole thing is really weird. What's really difficult and complicated about this chapter is that it's not necessarily hard like understanding it, but it's like explaining it. This ability is very weird and it's a very complicated concept with multiple layers, so sharing my thoughts is really kind of difficult, as like I said, there's layers to this. And imagine being on the phone and trying to explain this technique to a friend like who has no idea how it works. It'd be like gambling, fever, love manga, trains, like what huh? So I hope the way I explained it earlier kind of helped, even if it's only a little bit. I'm actually really excited and curious on how you guys feel about this and how my fellow JJK content creators in the community and what they have to say about all this, because it's really strange and weird, and this is some stuff like straight out of like Hunter x Hunter on some Emperor's Time stuff. I don't know, something crazy like that, but I can already tell that the official Viz translation might not make this whole domain situation any better. it could even make it more confusing because there's always like this little bit of discrepancy or error between the fan translation and the Viz translation and the information in that, especially in the Jujutsu Kaisen manga. So I can definitely see why some people find JJK kind of nitpicky or hard to read sometimes, especially with like recent Culling Game chapters. But it could be like reading a whole new manga sometime. Maybe I'm wrong sometime, but it could be kind of a little iffy at times with the Viz and the fan translation, sorry. Overall, this chapter was incredible. It was actually kind of an unforgiving read and a little bit challenging and weird, but it's a good weird. It was very enjoyable. Once you get it, and it's awesome. JJK was always special to me, and this Culling Game is getting me amped up. Hakari is was such a mystery, and now that we're seeing his technique, still a little bit of a mystery sorta, but I like that. He's really unique as a character and big brain, like he always knows what's going on. He knows what to do next as a gambler. But thank y'all for watching this video though. Thank y'all again for 500 subs. We're going fast and it's amazing. But this has been Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you brothers in the next one. Bye bye.